We were just on live stream the other day, and we had some breaking news happen, okay? Which was an officer-involved shooting in Spirit Lake, Idaho, which is Kootenai County, Idaho. Now, at the time, all we could learn was it was an officer-involved shooting, no officers had been injured, and that it involved a woman.
This morning, we are continuing to follow a SWAT standoff in Spirit Lake, Idaho. Last night, Kootenai County Sheriff's deputies surrounded a home near 4th and Jefferson. KRIM 2's Nicole Hernandez is live in Spirit Lake right now. Nicole, I know you've been gathering information for us this morning. What can you share with us?
So, Channing, right now we're at 4th and Jefferson, where last night there were dozens of sheriff's office deputies as well as Coeur d'Alene police cars here. Since last night, those police officers and deputies have cleared out. There is just one more sheriff's deputy car here in the parking lot of an apartment complex just to the right of me here. Now, we don't know much about what happened late last night, but what we do know is there was a report of an officer-involved shooting at 8 o'clock last night right here in this area of Jefferson and 4th Avenue. We do know that no officer ended up hurt, but we don't know whether or not the other person involved in that officer-involved shooting ended up hurt or not. After the reports of the officer-involved shooting, then that's when a SWAT standoff happened at one of the houses here around 4th and Jefferson. We don't know which house at this point, and we don't know whether or not the suspect was actually in the house, but our Kyle Simchuk was actually here last night, said around, again, this started about 8 o'clock, so around 11 or so when he left, police cars also started leaving this area as well. So overnight, that's the SWAT team left, as well as most of those sheriff's deputies and Coeur d'Alene police officers as well. So we do have calls out to the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office to see if they can't give us any update on how the situation ended. But for now, things are back here clear in Spirit Lake, Idaho. In Spirit Lake, Nicole Hernandez, KRIM 2 News.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all we got. And that they responded to like a 911 call having to do with like some mental health issues or something like that. Well, now we know that a 67-year-old woman died in a senior living apartment Wednesday after a police shooting and SWAT standoff that forced other residents of the complex to evacuate.
So a stray bullet?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I'm thinking that's where this is going. So they responded to the mental health call.
Or was the 67-year-old the one with the gun?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
The details of this shooting, we don't know for sure yet, but I do know that these police officers have been put on leave.
That's not funny.
As is protocol.
I was just thinking, like, I got the image in my head of, like, an older person in a walker in a shootout. That's why I giggled. Not because someone passed, but just like the cartoonish, you know.
I kind of giggled too because I got the same image in my head. But this is obviously not funny.
No.
But
we do have some breaking news, an update to a SWAT standoff in Spirit Lake, Idaho. We now know that the person involved was a 67-year-old woman, and police have confirmed now that woman has died. Now, last night, Kootenai County Sheriff's deputies surrounded a home near 4th and Jefferson. We don't know much about what led up to this standoff, but take a look at this video here from last night. What we do know is around 8 o'clock last night, there were reports of an officer-involved shooting. The officer was not hurt, but again, we now know the 67-year-old woman involved did die. After the shooting, a standoff started at a house near 4th and Jefferson. Deputies had to ask people living in an apartment complex nearby to evacuate. Late last night, SWAT and deputies started leaving, and then by this morning, things were quiet again. We, again, are still waiting on more updates from Kootenai County Sheriff's Office as to what led to this officer-involved shooting.
So they responded to this shooting on 5th Avenue and Jefferson Street in Spirit Lake, and this was all they knew was there's a mental health call, you know, and then soon to be SWAT standoff. So the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office is investigating the incident. That's whose jurisdiction it ended up falling into. Originally, I was following up with the police department, but it's actually the sheriff's department that is going to be releasing more information.
crime.
So they put out a statement that the woman was later found dead in an apartment.
Later, okay.
Yep, she was identified as 67-year-old Sa S.A. Floyd.
Sa Floyd, okay.
Yeah, some people who said they knew her said her first name was spelled S.A.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's exactly how it's pronounced, but I think it's Sa or Say. I'm not sure. I haven't heard that name before.
Okay. Well,
so there's been no indication whether or not she was killed by a police officer's gun or in some other way. So it was apartment 8 of Maple Tree Court, a senior housing facility on 401 Jefferson Street. That's odd that it's a senior home facility. It says that a resident, Steve Stoke, and this is from the spokesman review, I think it is, the spokesman. So Steve Stoke, who lives across the street, said his wife heard 5 gunshots and found someone barricaded themselves into the apartment. SWAT and police surrounded the apartment and flashbangs were deployed, which were heard by neighbors on the surrounding streets. Police sounded like they were negotiating with the person to come out of the unit. Other residents at Maple Tree Court evacuated to Spirit Lake City Hall. And I do remember seeing something come up saying that was where the reunification was going on. Like people who had to evacuate and be reunified with like their family or whatever. That's where you were to go.
I mean, at least they evacuated. There's been other shooting situations locally where, I mean, even the really popular one, the Kopaka one, and no one was evacuated.
Yeah. Well, there were people evacuated. There were. That's not true. There were some who slept through it. There were some who were evacuated, but it wasn't very timely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's what I'm getting at in the beginning.
Yeah.
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 Because we know
when they should have been.
Correct.
I think the roommates were technically evacuated immediately, but in the surrounding building, it wasn't timely.
Yeah, there were neighbors literally like right next to the apartment that weren't evacuated.
Literally watching them fly drones in there and stuff. I know.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, when you evacuate something as a police officer, I would think that you're literally banging on the door like, hey, we need you out here. I'm going to wake you up if you're asleep. You're going to hear it if you're in the shower. Like, you know what I mean? You're not going to get through this.
Like holding a loudspeaker, yelling at everybody, wake up, come out, evacuate,
absolutely.
Or whatever. Everybody running through the halls, knocking on doors.
That's what I would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
maybe even send out a live alert to phones, like that kind of thing.
This is unfortunate if they did this evacuation and still at a senior living, somebody still got hit with a stray. That's really unfortunate.
No evidence at this time to point towards stray or that this was the person that was in the standoff. We don't know for sure. They were apparently holding a loudspeaker and saying, like, come out with your hands up. We're just here to help you. And it went on for hours. There's another neighbor her name's Amanda Ask, who said she got there around 6:30 p.m. and the apartment was surrounded. SWAT drove a truck into the complex with multiple officers staying at the back of the car, all armed. She could hear a helicopter flying above.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was shocking for the town. It's supposedly a really quiet town. This is really unusual. Odd.
Yeah, it is really strange, and it seems like there's a lot going on in that Idaho area. And what is strange is that it based on the statistics, the criminal statistics of that area, there hasn't been much going on there for a long time. Then all of a sudden it's boom, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess there had been some crimes, but they've been classified as not criminal, but people ending themselves, things like that. So there is a history of crimes, but this also not like shootouts.
This also doesn't make sense because what people are saying in the area, okay, there's a visitation aide that would come help her like run errands, this little old lady.
Okay.
She said she only weighed 100 pounds. And when they would go do things together, she would hang on to her arm, and she had trouble seeing. She was like almost blind. She was poor. She was being evicted, apparently, sometime soon, which I guess could add to a mental health breakdown. But from what we're hearing, she had trouble getting around and seeing. How could she be involved in a SWAT standoff? That doesn't make sense.
Got it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's like this old lady who's pretty frail, it sounds like, can't see very well. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's having a hard time adding up.
It doesn't add up. The only thing I could think is, does she have some kind of grandkid or family member that came to her apartment and did this, and she ended up being like
a victim of
the
situation?
Yep.
I don't know.
Because this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They said they didn't know if she had a weapon. She was almost blind.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense for it to have been her. I can't imagine a 100-pound older lady who's blind and has trouble getting around.
Yeah.
Being in a SWAT standoff.
I hear you, but could it escalate really fast? I'm sure these situations escalate really fast. I'm sure they do, but wouldn't you expect law enforcement to start calling people, start asking questions and things like that so they know what they're getting into? Yeah, I would expect so, but I'm curious to find out more about it. I really am. I'm curious to see if there's any major red flags here. What, who, what, where, how, why, and everything in between.
Yeah, now they did say that she was down to her literal last 9 hours for the year of being able to stay at this place. So this was like her last night there.
So it kind of all adds up to her being the one. That's kind of strange.
It is strange.
Because it's a mental health call, so it kind of sounds like maybe someone knew, maybe someone had heard, maybe she was saying some end yourself type things, and the police got called, and she ended up saying, like, hey, don't come in here, I'm going to do something I'm going to regret, and then she did do that thing. I don't know.
She also didn't seem violent or angry. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I get it.
How could she be in a SWAT standoff being blind?
It might not be about that. It might be that she had a weapon and she was intent on ending herself, and it turned into this once law enforcement got involved.
Yeah, but they shot her.
Well, I thought you said we didn't know that. So did police shoot her?
They said it was a SWAT standoff.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a police bullet.
They said there was an officer-involved shooting. And there's officers on leave, meaning they killed somebody.
Yeah.
That's protocol
it
when
sure
an officer
seems
shoots
like
somebody.
That. It sure seems like that. So I don't know.
Well, that's what...
I'd be curious to know.
That's
once
all the
these get
information.
released.
Yeah, this is all the information we have on it thus far. You know?
Some people wanted to know more, so it's interesting because we still don't know a lot. It sounds like there isn't a whole lot of coverage here. We saw the news reporter that had that really funny hair that we were laughing about.
Yeah.
But they were forced to be way away from the scene and didn't know anything. And this still isn't anything.
No, I mean, we got the name, we got some context here, but we still don't have the specifics. So
we don't know if it's a police bullet. We don't know if...
for sure.
If the police were ever shot at. We don't know anything. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm curious what you guys know if you've heard of more. You know, we have a lot of viewers that are from that area, a whole lot. Let us know what you hear from boots on the ground, feet on the street.
Yeah.
We would like to know.
We would.
Let us know.